Hey Math 2, I want to review our assignment on 4.1, 4.3 quizzes. So this first problem, it looks like a mid-segment problem, and the mid-segment is an important part of this problem, but we're not actually finding the length of any segment in this problem. We're trying to find the measure of angle x. The reason the mid-segment is important in this problem is because our mid-segment is parallel to the base. Not sure where my E went on that problem. But the mid-segment is parallel to the base. So that means that these other two sides of my triangle are transversals. And the first thing we need to understand looking at this is that X and Y are not congruent. And the reason that they're not congruent is because the two sides of my triangle are not parallel. They can't be parallel because they create an angle right here. So the alternate interior has to be across a transversal. So there would have to be another parallel line right here in order for this to be an alternate interior over here. So this mid-segment is not our transversal. That's the first thing we need to know. X and Y are not congruent. So knowing that, I need to figure out what my corresponding angles are. So if I know that these lines are parallel and I've got my transversal, that means that angle F and angle B are congruent. They are corresponding angles. So X is 60 degrees. And that's the answer to our question. But I wanted to go ahead and show you guys what angle Y would be equal to, because there's a different approach we have to take when we're trying to find angle Y. Because we're given this angle is 40, but that tells me what this angle is. That tells me that angle Q is equal to 40 because L and M, angle L and angle M are the congruent angles in this diagram, not Y. But angle Q and angle Y create a straight angle, which we know equals 180 degrees. So if we set up a simple equation here, y plus q equals 180. We know q equals 40, and then solve for y to see that angle y equals 140. So that's our first example. Example 2 does have some mid-segment information here. So let's review what the diagram is telling us. So this little tick mark and this little tick mark mean that these two segments have equal measure. So that means that these two right here, so CR and RD are congruent. So here we have CR is congruent. So that's our symbol for congruent. RD, and here CQ is going to be congruent to QB. So because of that, the mid-segment is 1/2 of the base. So there's two different equations we can use to solve for x, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to solve for the value of x. So we can either interpret this as the mid-segment is means equal, 1/2 the base. So I multiply by 1/2, or think I'm dividing by 2. I'm dividing the base by 2. Or I can think that the base is equal to 2 times the mid-segment. So I have that my mid-segment equals x minus 2. My base equals x plus 7. Here I decided to use that my base is equal to 2 times my mid-segment. So here I distributed my 2 to get 2x and 4. I did inverse operations to isolate x. And here I did inverse operations with my x. So I had positive x. So I subtracted x to get x equals 11. And that is my final answer for number 2. So now I want you guys to take a second and see if we can figure out example 3. All right, so again, we have, this is our mid-segment this time. So TS is equal to 1/2 GI. And here again, we're just solving for X. So I see that this is just X. So I don't want to divide this by 2 because I'm going to get a fraction. So let's write this as GI is equal to 2 times TS. So GI is X plus 10. 2 times, so I need to put this in parentheses because this is an expression. I'm going to have to distribute 2x minus 7. So here I just substituted what I knew, and now we're going to solve for x. So first I have to distribute, bring down x plus 10. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. Now I need to solve for x. I don't want to subtract 4x because I only have 1 on this side, and that's going to give me a negative number, which then I'm just going to have to cancel at the end anyway. So let's subtract this 1. So we're going to cancel out on this side, bring down the 10. 4 minus 1 is going to give me 3x minus 14. To cancel this negative 14, I need to add 14 to the other side, so that's going to cancel. Then I bring down my 3x, and this is going to equal 24. Last step, to solve for x, we have to divide by 3, and we see that x equals 8. So if you didn't get that right, take a second to look back at the steps here. Make sure you understand where you made your mistake so you don't make it again. All right, so we're going to do 4 and 5, and then that'll be the last 2 problems that we'll do for this video. I want you guys to go back and redo this quizzes. Everybody should get at least a 50. I'm giving you the answers for 1 through 5. So here we're finding the length. So this is different. Find the length of AB. So after I find x, I have to find the value of x first, and then I'm going to have to substitute it back into this expression here, 3x minus 1, to find the length of segment AB. So again, AB is the midpoint. So 2 times my midpoint is equal to the base. Distribute. So for x, I need to get rid of this constant. We're going to come up here. So 6x is going to equal 36. I'm going to divide by 6. So x equals 6. A is not the answer. X equals 6. The segment AB does not equal 6. So I need to substitute this back in. 3x minus 1. 3 times 6 minus 1, 18 minus 1. My answer is C. AB equals 17.